Peace family, we're going to go over the dangers of having only one trustee. So what do I mean by that? Well, first and foremost, we know there's a grantor, trustee, and a beneficiary. But the first party, which is the trustee, and most of the time, once you've seen TikTok or from your research, that trustee is normally maybe LLC or some form of holding company, right? But the thing about that is you are normally the controller like CEO of this trust, or of this company. So the question you should always ask yourself, well, what happens to my trust if something happens to me? Right? Well, in place, you might have a co-trustee. Now, this is a little different for the fact that the co-trustee you cannot, most of the time, make a decision without the co-trustee, because the co-trustee and you are to work in unison, like a board of trustees, unless it's specifically stated by the grantor that the trustee, the primary trustee, can make a decision without the secondary trustee. Okay? So this is a way you can also avoid, if something happened to you here, you passed away, unfortunately, you will already have a co-trustee in place, right? That might be a friend, a family member, right? But, however, the person you choose, you definitely want to make sure they're competent, right? Have some form of knowledge of how a trust works, and what it is or what it maybe take to be a trustee, or maybe not have the knowledge at the time. Consider getting that knowledge that's necessary to understand what it is and what it takes to be a trustee. All right, and you want to get someone who's a non-interested party most of the time, somebody who doesn't have an interest in the property, in the res, in the trust necessarily, as far as the property, proceeds, interest, what have you. The only interest this person should have is a legal interest, and that's to. What if you don't want a trust with a co-trustee? Most of us have a trust where it's just one trustee. Or the co-trustee is still you, because the co-trustee will still be operating as an LLC or some other sort of entity, which still ultimately is you here, CEO, controller of the company. So what happens if you pass on? Well, you have another party called the successor trustee. And you want to make sure the successor trustee is somebody who also has the same qualities, the same, competent, and have some form of non-interest in the res that's being conveyed to the trustee to perform or hold for the benefit of a beneficiary. So the successor trustee should have the same qualities. Now, successor trustee, you do not need the successor trustee on the board of trustees when making decisions. They're only there if something happens to the primary trustee. This is called the secondary trustee. So we have normally number 1, number 2, number 3. But at times, you don't need a successor trustee when you have a co-trustee if it's a separate party, because that person can still operate for you if something were to happen to you. Also, you want to consider ones, and that is a trust protector. So the trust protector is only there truly to protect the trust, to make sure there are no breaches of trust, to make sure the trustees are in full compliance with what the trust requires, the trust indenture, which the grantor's intent, which ultimately is you. So the dangers of having just the trustee as a company and you operating that company, if something happened to you, you're definitely going to probate. There's no way around that because there's no intent from the grantor to who else should be trustee. So the court will not allow a trust to fail for the lack of a trustee, and they will enforce by placing a trustee there so the trust will not fail and it can continue to operate. So that's it for you. Click the link below if you want to schedule a financial audit with us. Also visit us at www.livingequityprivateministry.org for some of our merchandise and other service we provide. Also, you can check us out on Instagram at living_equity_ministry, as well on TikTok at that same tag, or on Facebook at Trustee Ali. I hope you enjoyed this video. Check you next time.